Good afternoon, Bina. How are you?
Good afternoon, and it's happy Friday, isn't it?
Yeah, I love doing this on Friday. It's not got the same ring when we do it on a Monday, is it?
No, because you miss me so much, don't you? If it's not Friday.
That's right. And yeah, because we're not doing them weekly now. It's a bit strange, but we always talk, so it's not so bad. So hi everybody, it is the 4th of December. Ooh, and we have here with Bina Briggs from HR, Talking HR, and myself, Julie Grimes from Jaguar White Recruitment. We're here to share a few hot topics on HR bullets and recruitment bullets. So today we're going to talk about things like the National Grievance Day that happened yesterday, and the vaccine, which Bina's very passionate about, and it's a really interesting topic. And a few little points, 3 points on job applications for you candidates out there, because it's such a relevant topic at the moment with so many applicants for job. So over to you, Bina, to talk about your couple of HR hot topics. Thank you.
Well, okay, lovely to talk to you and see you, Sat. So there's a couple of things that I think I'll just go straight into it, and although they're not very upbeat kind of subjects, and I like to kind of have a really good kind of feel, because it's a Friday and we're ending the week. But these are two things that I think very current and I think really relevant to HR at the moment. And first thing is that yesterday was National Grief Awareness Day, and basically it kind of made me think that realistically, okay, grief for any loss is something that, although we don't want to put up with it, unfortunately we come across it time and again. But in these times when some of the deaths or some of the grief or some of the bereavements are due to the COVID-19, that then puts an extra burden on it. And this is all I want to say is that employers really need to be aware. Do you know your employees? Do you know what's happening in their lives, especially if they're working from home? Are you keeping in contact? We've been saying that before anyway, but yes, this brings it even more to home. That is so important, so critical, that employers actually, look after their employees, be mindful, be there for them, and do you know what's happening in their lives. And with the awareness day, it just brought to me that, look, this is something that quite a lot of people must have had an impact on, whether they've lost somebody, their own, or somebody around them, or a colleague or somebody. It is something that nobody wants to, but and again, they're uncharted territories, because half the time nobody can go to a hospital, nobody can be with anybody who's kind of suffering. So it's just I thought I'd just drop it to say, look, can we just kind of think about what is it that each of us as an employer need to do, and be there. The other thing is about the vaccine, and everybody's going, oh, really great, we are all going to be saved now. Unfortunately, in a way, this is just the start. We just don't know, the kind of implications. A lot of it's already been said in the HR and the business world as to, okay, so if all the employees, everybody now can say, well, oh, great, we got the vaccine and we're all going to be immunized and we'll be fine. The thing is, what if an employee says, I don't want to have a jab, who's going to have it? Is it mandatory? Would it be mandatory for any of the employers to say, now that we've got that, everybody must, in my company, they've got to have it, regardless of what they do. So I think when we spoke about it earlier, I kind of mentioned a couple of things to say, well, I can understand if it was somebody in a very public-facing role, or say, for instance, people in the NHS, I can understand that it could be, that you could say, well, okay, we would want everybody to be immunized, because they're going to be dealing with public or patients and so on. They'll come into close contact, because don't forget this is just over and above the kind of safety measures we've already got in place. So it's not saying instead of what we've got in place is over and above that, but we're still not out of all this rubbish anyway. So I think people need to be mindful, but also as an employer, are you going to insist that when it is your turn and when you are able to say, okay, guys, all of us can have this and we would want them. So what are the rules? What would you want to do? What if, it's not required as an added thing for your company? So those two things, I would just leave it there, because when we get more information on, the vaccination, then of course, we will discuss it, and I will be very happy to pass on the information. But
Sure.
Those are my 2 bits today.
Yeah, and they're really relevant and timely pieces of information. I know they're not upbeat, but we can't always be happy and upbeat when we're discussing very, very serious subjects. But it's really important, and it's a good reminder to anyone with hiring managers and MDs and HR to think about what they're going to do. Even though Boris is not ever going to make it mandatory, it really depends on, like you said, how much they're dealing with the public. So thank you, Bina.
Yeah.
Brilliant topics. So I'm going to talk about, for anyone job seeking out there, whatever level, and applications at the moment, which I know Bina does a little bit about with as well, with some of her clients. But at the moment, everybody knows there's hundreds of applications per vacancy. Recruitment is on the rise, by the way, especially in finance. Comms and media is up, as from the LinkedIn recruiter news this week. So it's going in the right direction. But as we know, traditionally, it all slows down for Christmas in a couple of weeks. But I think what made me think more about the applications was the fact of how to be able to stand out. Now, a big thing, and I was asked this question as well on a webinar a couple of days ago, do you put a covering letter together with an application or not? And
I would definitely say yes.
Thank you, Bina, because I would always, and in my masterclasses, I highly recommend a covering letter. I've just written a blog on it, and it's going out next week, because I'm very, 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 very feel strong about this. I had 100 applicants for this executive assistant role, and not that you wouldn't get looked at if you didn't have a covering letter, but I do think it says something about your effort and your interest. So absolutely, my recommendation is to write a covering letter around 250 words. But the big strong point here is to make it brief and to the point. It needs to be addressed properly. It needs to have reference to the job vacancy. It needs to have some relevance about the company you're applying for. Just a liner about the company, tiny bit about the job description, then highlighting your skills. And then at the bottom, why you feel you'd be good for the job. It's really a short, punchy, to the point letter. People will get bored if they're reading a long A4 sheet of paper. Believe me, they will switch off. So make it punchy and make sure those 3 points are there, written properly, a header for the actual vacancy, a bit about the company, just to sort of intertwine, who you're actually applying to, and a bit about the job description and why, your skills and why you're applying. So remember that, and always put a covering letter together. If I had a gent saying that he had to put his CV through a portal, wasn't asking for a covering letter at all, I suggested he took a covering letter and added it as the first page of his CV, so they had to read it. And unless they specifically say, I do not want a covering letter, which I've actually never heard of, put the covering letter, the short one at the front, and then your 2-page, 2.5, 3 if you have to, CV to follow. And you can always put that in as a PDF and send it as well. So definitely that's the way to get around it. Now, that's the first point. The second point, that was rather long-winded, sorry. We're getting very passionate about these things. Are you okay there, Bina?
I am sorry. I'm just about to go off. Sorry, I don't know why.
Okay.
Something happened, so I'm back.
So the second point, which I know Bina feels quite strongly about as well, we were chatting about it actually at the beginning of the week, is about Well, my point is really to follow up. Do not send an application and not follow it up. If you don't hear anything, you never know, it could have gone into a black hole, probably not, but always follow it up. Get that extra ammunition to be able to talk to somebody, find out when their deadline is. And Bina, we were talking about the fact that so many people are applying for so many jobs. And what were you talking about, the spreadsheet the other day? Did you want to?
Well, what I was going to say was that when you said about, when people are, they are applying for so many different jobs, they should really keep a record of what jobs they're applying for. And it's no good saying, oh, by the way, I have no idea who you are. Now, I told you about a recent experience with one of my clients, and I was actually part of the interviewing panel. It was all by Zoom, but I was, and the young lady, we asked just simple questions that you would expect. What do you know about the company? Where does this role that you've applied for sit in that company, and how do you think that you would be able to work with the rest of the company? And it was just like, it was something very simple. And the young lady said to me, oh, by the way, could you just tell me who you are? Oh, I have no idea which company, what you are, what the company is. And although she knew where it was, which is great because it was in the same local area that she was from, that was great, but she had no clue about the company, what it did, hadn't looked at the website. That's the first thing you would do. Okay, even if you're just applying for thousands of jobs, I can understand that. But if somebody called you and you said, yes, I will be, and I did all the calling and saying, we have taken you, shortlisted you to the next stage. It wasn't even an email that they could have forgotten or not seen. And this is the company, really lovely, will you come to the interview? And yes, please, thank you very much. So we've gone through that. It was very personalized, and the lady couldn't tell us anything about the job in detail at all. She knew what the job was, but it was just literally like the job title. But what it entailed, she had no idea. She hadn't read the job description. She actually admitted it, that she had no clue. Now that is, how that compared to somebody who actually had made, sorry, that's my cat. This is the cat bedroom. So that's Ellie.
Does that count that I've seen a black cat today for luck? Because I could do with some.
It's good luck. It's good luck. She's a very lucky cat.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if you're comparing two candidates at an interview, somebody who says that to you and somebody who gives you quite a lot, that you would expect them to, because they've done the research, and it doesn't take that long to go on somebody's website and start looking at it, and everybody knows what kind of questions you're going to be asked now, because again, they're all on internet everywhere, aren't they?
Absolutely. Cringe moment. That is a cringe moment for me.
Oh, it was. I was going.
When I speak to somebody and they say, oh, what job was that? It's like cringe moment. But you know what? I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and then I'll see what happens. But it does affect your first impressions of somebody, without a doubt. It's just whether they can recover, and sometimes they can. So, and on that research, I think it's so simple. As you said, you go onto their website, you look at the news. Their PR, what's new, they won any awards, what's going on in their business, what do they do? And even if they've got thousands of products, some of the clients I work with, you can kind of categorize them. So I always say, just remember 3 strong things that you can have in your mind, because there's no way you can sort of stand there and just read, oh yes, which we've had in the past as well. You do have to be able to retain that information and get it across. So really important, research, know who you're going for, and also follow up. And that's my sort of big point about research as well, is just to be able to find out and dig. You've got LinkedIn as well at the moment, so you can even find out some of the people that work there. And if you're really clever, if you go through, somebody may have worked where you've worked in the past. What introduction would that be? You could really show that you've actually, done your research. So as you can see, it's one of my massive passions to help people bring out the best of them at interview, But at the moment, with so many applicants, you really do need to try and stand out. So absolutely, there's loads, like I say, on interview techniques, and I will share some more next time.
Yeah, it's all about connectivity. It's all about connectivity, where you actually show that you have gone through their website, you have picked up, and most of the companies now say our team, and at least they will at least have the main people, their directors and so on. Quite often they'll have HR or whoever, so you can make that connection and say, oh yeah, certain set, and it could be that they might be on your interview panel, one of those people, which means that then you can break the ice by saying, oh yeah, I looked at the website, and yes, I've seen your picture on there and the information, and suddenly they that's that connection you made, and it just helps. It's all about being personal. Yeah,
absolutely. Totally agree. So that's it for today, and I wanted to leave you with something I thought Bina said really well about actually earlier. For anyone that's hiring, to look after your staff and ask them what's going on in their life at the moment, and ask the question and just see if they're okay. I think it's really important. So thank you for that, Bina. Happy weekend, everybody, and I'll see you next time, Bina, but I'm sure I shall speak to you very soon.
I'm sure.
Thank you
lovely
for joining.
to be on here. See you then. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Jean. Bye-bye.